I'm going to be giving our paper by myself. Just so you know though, I didn't come up with all of this awesome information on my own. It was a joint effort for one of our theory classes. So the title, Change is Coming, or is it? A semiotic phenomenological analysis of the economic dream team cartoon. So probably thinking, cartoon's fun, right? Just look at them and you laugh. Well, today I'm going to tell you why there's a little bit more to them than that. But, what's that word again? Semiotic phenomenology. How many of you have heard of it? Yeah, select few. So anyone who doesn't know, it is a paradigm exemplar of communicology, probably another unfamiliar word, which just focuses on the lived experience. So this is going into a different aspect of communication. We're going to move away from the transmission model. But it's always a good idea to talk about, okay, first, what am I going to talk to you about? First, I'm going to talk to you about why we should use semiotic phenomenology, why it's the best paradigm. And the second is going to be a step-by-step analysis of a cartoon. So you're probably thinking, well, why aren't we using the positivist paradigm? How many of you are positivist scholars? 1, 2, okay, you're not too afraid to raise your hand. So the ontology is human beings are information processors, and pretty much just saying that the lived body isn't as important. We're focusing on communication as a tool. Message transmission. Is it effective? Did the message get from point A to point B? We believe in this paradigm that we can positively know things. Facts are truth, and there's an objective world out there. Well, Amy and I don't really agree with this. So what are we telling you? Just say no to the positivistic model of communication. No throwing tomatoes, Dr. West or Kente. I saw you guys raise your hand that you like this paradigm. So what are we saying we should use? Semiotic phenomenology. Yes, please. We love this paradigm. Ontology. The body is a sign. And there's a really big importance placed on the lived body. You in that moment. So what is semiotics? The study of signs, and phenomenology, the study of the lived body experience. So together, we put these together. The body signifies. We are signs to each other. Communication is now the goal of our interactions. It's not a tool anymore. Probably like, wait, what? Communication isn't, it's not what we're doing, it's the goal of our interaction. It doesn't always happen. Probably boggling your mind a little. That's okay. Did you know that our personalities are created through communication? The self-other relationship, who I am in this moment, is affected by all of you out there. I can be a different person as soon as I leave this room, or a different personality, to say the least. So the goal of communicology is the understanding of the human experience through communication at every level, interpersonal, interpersonal, group, and societal, cultural. So we're spanning all of these aspects of communication. What do we believe? The world isn't neutral. There is no objective reality. It's very subjective and ideologically constructed. So what my reality is may be different from yours. How many of you are like, whoa, never heard that before? Yeah, a couple of us. Good, I'm glad. So there's some more background. I'm going to go through this because I know we're pressed for time. Reflexivity of the human consciousness. We never just analyze an object. We analyze our experience in relation to the object. We also know that consciousness is not a given, just like human beings. It's never a given. We're always developing. Where's the meaning? Where do we find meaning in our interactions? Has to answer these questions. Who gets to define the context which determines the meaning? And will it be the default rules of the culture at the code level? Or will it be you, the person, at the message level? We have a little bit more time and go into some of this theory a little bit more in depth. But if you want to talk about that after, I'm more than willing. Importance of the code. We analyze a cartoon. We have to have some understanding going on. But do we allow our interpretation of the code, or in the cartoon, to be influenced by the cultural codes? Or can we just come up with our own meaning? It's ironic because the code constrains us, but it also liberates us. If we can't understand the code, we can't understand the cartoon. This is a lot of information at once. I completely understand if you are like, wow, what is she doing? So, semiotic phenomenology. Here are the steps. This is how we're going to break down the cartoon. And you're probably like, wow, what is this cartoon she's talking about? I can't wait to see it. It's coming up in a little bit. So the first step, description. We bracket our personal biases looking at an image. The second is reduction. We reduce it down. What does it mean to us? Where do we find meaning? And then the third step is interpretation. So we combine the description and the reduction, and we try and find something new, insightful, that aha moment. So it's important in this particular branch of communication to understand where we encountered the sign. For myself, I was reading the newspaper. I came across it and was like, oh, well, this is interesting. So I called up Amy, or Chong, as she's referred to in the presentation. She went and looked it up online. You'll see later in the interpretation that this affects how we read the cartoon. So description, signifiers. There's 8 in this cartoon, and there's textual anchors. So you're probably wondering what a textual anchor is. This is, as Kat says, and we state him a couple different times, textual anchor is, it is through this textual code that I am compelled to render the symbolic realm generally. That is the meaning embedded in the syntactical relations of the world and icons, which just means that the text in the cartoon influences our perception of it. We read it and then we look at the images and they link together, or so we hope. Reduction, the signified, what do each of these 8 images and the text mean to us? So this is the cartoon. Probably been waiting to see it. Obama administration economic dream team. So, in terms of the description, we describe these, we bracket them. Some of you probably already know who they all represent, but in the description stage, what we did was we looked. We say, all right, what do we have in here? We have a podium with a sign and a microphone. We have a little boy dressed in blue shorts and a red bow tie, carrying a bag of money. We have a woman, so on and so forth. We don't give meaning to them. We state them as they are. Okay, so that's what we do in description. And we look at the textual codes. Plutocrats for change, we are the ones we have been waiting for. So then we move on to the reduction stage. This is where we find the meaning. In order to find the meaning, we have to be familiar with some of the codes. So we look at this. We can reduce the podium with the sign and the microphones and the textual anchors to be representative of the 2008 presidential election. We put those together for us. They have meaning. We look at the little boy. He has money. He's stressing it out. Little blonde. We understand the code. He's Little Richie. Anyone who's familiar with Little Richie? Actually, I'd ask my dad because I didn't know who he was, but that's okay. We look at the duck. Scrooge from Disney's A Christmas Carol. We have Monty Burns from The Simpsons, Veronica from Archie, Daddy Warbucks from Annie, and President Barack Obama. So can everyone see how that kind of goes together? We identify what they are descriptively, and then try and figure out through those descriptions what they mean. How you said I have some more time to go step by step in the process. I just want to give us some ideas. So now we figure out what the text means. We are the ones we have been waiting for. Pretty self-explanatory. Obama administration economic dream team identically points us to know that this is Barack Obama, in case you were confused, and that this is his dream team. Amy and I had a really interesting time with plutocrats for change. How many people are familiar with the term plutocrat? Neither were we. Awesome. So we had to look it up because we didn't understand the code. Plutocrat, for those of you who don't know, means rule of the wealthy. So now that we have information on that code, it changes the meaning of the cartoon for us. Now we know that Obama's economic dream team is supposed to be representative of the plutocrats. So we have the reduction stage down. Now we move to interpretation. Our interpretation of the cartoon. My interpretation of the cartoon was different than Amy's interpretation of the cartoon. Why? Because we come from different backgrounds. We have different experiences with the cartoon. Your interpretation of the cartoon will be different than ours. For the most part, some of them will be the same. So if you don't agree with us, too bad. It's our interpretation of it. So how do we interpret the cartoon? Just a brief little history of it. Now that we know that the plutocrats are the dream team, we're starting to wonder, what does this mean? Does it mean now that Barack Obama, who pushed for change, really isn't pushing for change? Because his economic dream team is very traditional. If he was so for change, why aren't the caricatures that are surrounding him more contemporary? Why is it hard for a younger generation to understand who they are? We also look at the fact that in the dream team, there are no minorities aside from Barack Obama. And what does it mean that an animal represented as Scrooge is utilized before a minority is? We take all of this into account as we interpret the cartoon. So how do I interpret the cartoon? You're probably wondering. I think it's rather sexist. I take offense to this cartoon. There's one woman in the whole entire economic dream team, and she's a stereotypical female. She has a skirt on, a big smile, and her pearls. And ironically, she's standing behind a child, which at first glance makes me think, is that his mom, as opposed to a powerful businesswoman on the dream team? Amy's interpretation is that it's sexist. We're both kind of feminist scholars, in case you didn't know. So we look at this, and we interpret it to mean that maybe this change platform that Barack Obama has been pushing isn't really a change in terms of his economic standpoint. Why? Because the plutocrats are who are standing in front of him. Are they the ones who will be pulling the toughest strings? Like I said, if you don't agree with this, that's fine. We understand. Everyone has their own interpretation because each of you will now have your own lived experience with this cartoon. Just remember that a cartoon just isn't for fun anymore. You can analyze the heck out of it, just like we did. It's going to be an experience for you every time you pick up the paper and flip to the comics. Thank you.